Hello, chào tất cả các bạn. Chào mừng các bạn đã quay trở lại với channel của mình. Và hôm nay chúng ta cùng tiếp tục với series đọc truyện P28 by J.K. của mình. Và hôm nay sẽ là Chapter 9, The Never Bird. Okay, let's get started. The last sound Peter heard before he was quite alone were the mermaids retiring one by one to their bedchambers under the sea. He was too far away to hear the doors shut, but every door in the coral caves where he lived rings a tiny bell when it opens or closes, as in all nicest houses on the mainland, and he heard the bells. Steadily the waters rose till they were nibbling at his feet, and to pass the time until they met their final gun, he watched the only thing on the lagoon. He thought it was a piece of floating paper, perhaps part of the kite, and wondered idly how long it would take to drift as shore. Presently he noticed as an odd thing. It was undoubtedly out in the gallon with some dignified purpose, for it was fighting the tide, and some winning when it won. Peter, always sympathetic to the weaker side, could not help clapping. It was such a gallant piece of paper. It was not really a piece of paper. It was the Never Bird making desperate efforts to reach Peter on the nest. By working her wings in a way she had learned since the nest fell into the water, she was able to some extent to guide her strange craft. But by the time Peter recognized her, she was very exhausted. She asked to come to save him and give him her nest. Though there were eggs in it, I rather wonder at the bird, for though he had been nice to her, he had also sometimes tormented her. I suppose only that, like Mrs. Darling and the rest of them, she was melted because he had all his first teeth. She called out to him what she had come for, and he called out to her what she was doing there. But of course neither of them understood the other's language. In fanciful stories, people can talk to the birds freely, and I wish for a moment I could pretend that this were such a story, and say that Peter replied intelligently to the Never Bird. But truth is best, and I want to tell you only what really happened. Well, not only could they understand each other, but they forgot the manners. I want you to get into the nest, the bird called, speaking as slowly as distinctly as possible, and then you can drift as shore, but I am too tired to bring it any nearer, so you must try to swim to it. What are you quacking about? Peter answered. Why don't you let me nest drift as usual? I want you. The bird said, and repeated in all over. Then Peter tried, slow and distinct. What are you quacking about? And so on. The Never Bird became irritated. They have very short tempers. You dunderheaded little jay, she screamed. Why don't you do as I tell you? Peter felt that she was calling him names adventure, he reported hotly. So are you. Shut up. Then, rather ridiculously, they both snapped out the same remark. Shut up, shut up. Nevertheless, the bird was determined to save him if she could, and by one last mighty effort she propelled the nest against the rock. Then up they flew, deserting her eggs, so as to make her meaning clear. Then at last he understood. He clapped the nest and waved his thanks to the bird as she fluttered overhead. It was not to receive his thanks. However, that she hung there in the sky, it was not even to watch him get into the nest. It was to see what he did with her eggs. They were so large white eggs, and Peter lifted them up and reflated. The bird covered her face with her wings, so as not to see last of them, but she could not help peeping between the feathers. I forgot whether I have told you that there were stiff on the rock, driven into it by some buccaneers of long ago to mark the site of Bury's treasure. The children had discovered the glitter hoard, and when in mischievous mood, used to fling showers of murderers, diamonds, pearls, and pieces of eight to the goons, who pounced upon them for food, and then flew away, retching at the scurvy trick that had been played upon them. The staff was still there, and on his turkey had hung his head, a deep tarpaulin, watertight, with a broad brim. Peter put the axe into his hat and set it on the lagoon. It floated beautifully. There were two large white eggs, and Peter lifted them up and reflated. The bird covered her face with her wings so as not to see the last of them, but she could not help peeping between the feathers. I forgot whether I have told you that there was a staff on the rock, driven into it by some buccaneers of long ago to mark the site of the buried treasure. The children had discovered the glittering hoard, and when in a mischievous mood, used to fling showers of murderers, diamonds, pearls, and pieces of eight of the goons, who pounced upon them for food, and then flew away, reaching the scurvy trick that had been played upon them. The star was still there, and on this star he has hung his head, a deep tarpaulin watertight with a broad brim. Peter put the axe into its head and set it on the lagoon. It floated beautifully. Of course, when Peter landed at the beach, he sparked in the place where the bird would easily find it. But the hat was such a great success that she abandoned the nest. It drifted about till it went to pieces, and often Starkey came to the shore of the lagoon, and with the birds now built in that shape of nest, with a broad brim on which the youngsters taken airing.